it back up.
No. Yeah. Now, bring it back up.
All right, are we live?
There we go.
Okay, guys.
All right.
We made it. We pushed
Barely.
the envelope.
We're pushing the envelope.
Yeah. Trying really hard to figure it out. Do I need to go up or back with the camera?
I think we're okay.
All right, guys. We are Deep South Homestead. I'm Wanda. He's Danny. And
just getting in here, to be honest. I just got off of the tractor, run in, took a shower, ran right in here.
Well, actually, I edited a video, and I had him watching it because I needed him to check it so I could be getting it ready. And so he walked in as I was clicking the button.
This is true.
Oh, thank you guys for joining us. And thank you, Julie. She's already gave us a super chat because she said her back was hurting and she had to take a break. She's going to be able to watch us tonight. So thank you, Julie.
Okay.
And so we've had a full week.
Yeah.
We have been trying really hard to get ready to enjoy the pond because it's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Yeah. It's
Lance did the big work. He's our dozer guy and Trackco guy, whatever.
He does it all.
And he's awesome. He's all by himself. He does both, or he did here. Now sometimes he has help.
He'll use help sometimes, but usually he's by himself.
And so he's really good with it. Almost everybody commented on how good it was.
Yeah.
And real smooth operator. He knows what he's doing. They liked when he waved to you. Danny had the camera that day.
Yeah, I had the camera that day. Yeah.
And he wouldn't wave to me because he was afraid he would scare me. And afterward I told him, I said, no, I've been waiting all week for you to do that. So I don't think we've told him about the other projects.
No, we haven't. Patrons know about it, but
project number 2, Lance waved to me. He came right up to the camera. You're going to see.
He told her, said, be real still. He says, let me show you something. And he just took that thing, and I mean, he just kept going until he got right to the edge of it and took it and sat there and just,
and waved at me like this far from the camera.
Like that far from the camera. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah, he knows where he's putting it. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
So, and we started our deck and got the floor.
Yeah, the floor is all done.
And we've got to sit on it the last couple of days.
We've got the rail on one side done. Now we're ready to start putting the top on it.
And this is what Wanda's waiting on, y'all.
This is what I want y'all to pay attention. Now look at here. This is what Miss Wanda is waiting on right here.
Now these are our 2 hardware guys. Bob, and I don't know the other guy's name. He's a younger guy that works there, but Bob helps us all the time when we're in there. And Danny is going to put this swing sometime this week on the pier. We're going to be, I'm going to be painting it.
She's got to paint it first. Yeah.
And he's got to fix the rails and stuff and have everything ready. But we are going to be having a swing on the pier.
Yes, Wanda did get the cookbooks in, and she has mailed out a bunch of them.
Yeah, I spent another hour and a half.
Almost 2 hours at the post office, just mailing.
Thursday?
Yeah, I think it was Thursday.
Thursday.
Mailing off cookbooks.
So if you haven't got your cookbook, about 3 or 4 of the first week that I sent off didn't get theirs. And it had been 2 weeks and they hadn't got them. I tracked them. Were stuck in post office for 2 weeks. Don't ask me why. COVID. They probably blame COVID, okay?
Probably has to do with COVID.
But one of them I know finally got hers. I don't know about the other 2. They said it was in transit. So if you don't get it within 2 to 3 weeks, let me know because it's one of those things I can't do anything about. I can give you the tracking.
Yeah, once Wanda mails it, I mean, it's the postal service from that point forward.
You can track it. You can have your post office say, where is it? You can have them say, well, do you really have it or you just got it stashed somewhere? You know, it's aggravating. Now, the postal service can be good and it can be bad.
Yeah.
So, but I did get them and I have some on our Etsy store at deepsouthhomestead.etsy.com. All right, so I don't remember which picture's which. All right, this is us enjoying the pond the first night. We got
It was
out there
actually
before
cool. It was actually cool that night.
That's the night the cool front come through.
The cool front come through. We had a fan going. We actually had to turn it off because it got too cool. How do I order and pay for a copy of your cookbook? It is on the Etsy store, deepsouthhomestead.etsy.com.
Yeah, this night it was hot all day. We were burning slam up. And we took the fan out as soon as the sun went down, and we were sitting out there, and I actually got cold, and Danny started laughing at me because I was telling him he's going to have to turn the fan down or off because I'm usually the one that's hot.
Yeah.
And so we had a good time the first night. Now, it hasn't been cool like that the last night.
No, last night we sat there. We did turn it down last night, though.
Yeah, we did turn it down, but we didn't get cold.
We didn't get cold. It just, But
yeah.
we're going to be working on the pier this week. Now, I've been liming the pond. We got a lot more liming to do. I've been putting hay around the pond. We got a lot more hay to do. I seeded it all in. I've got bahia grass seeds all over the pond. The dam, the edges of the water, all that kind of stuff. I've been continuously putting some dirt around the edges, trying to do a little dress up work because the dozer can't really do a fine job. It leaves little cleat marks on the ground. So on the tractor, I've been adding some little dirt patches around the edges, kind of dressing it up kind of nice, you know.
Getting ready for grass.
Getting ready for grass.
We don't want grass in the gardens, but we want grass everywhere.
The grass grows in the garden like crazy, but I have to fight to get it to grow everywhere else.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. This one was before we built the pier. This was a couple of days ago. I meant to show this one first, but I got them backwards. This was actually the first day he finished, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was through this day. Yeah.
Yeah, and the water, I mean, it looks like we got a lot of water. It actually is not real deep. How deep would you say it is?
The water's probably, I didn't get to check it today. I was going to, but when I stuck the stick in there to put with the marks on it to see if it was raising or lower and all, it's like 2 foot where I was at. So it's between 2 and 2.5 foot deep.
Yeah. So, guys, they're all here for a reason. You want to know what it is?
What is it?
Y'all tell him. Tell him what I told you to tell him.
Well, that's a big delay.
I know. Give him a second. 1, 2, 3. They'll go. They know what they're going to do.
Oh, okay. Well, I have no clue, unless it say happy anniversary.
He does not know that tonight is his surprise birthday party.
Mine?
Yeah.
Why would I have a surprise birthday party tonight? It's not my birthday.
It will be in 5 days, 4 days before the next time. So we can't have a surprise birthday party afterward. We have to have it before.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's funny. So they've all been in on it.
Oh, okay.
Lippy sent him a message over on Facebook in the group and told everybody that it was your surprise birthday party.
Oh, okay. Thank you guys. Thank you a lot.
And I bet that's why I was trying to keep you busy.
Oh.
Watching the video so you wouldn't come look at the pictures.
I got you.
The reason behind that, and the other reason that they're all here, is because they really want to see what you look like as a kid.
What I look like as a kid?
Okay, let's see. Y'all, there's his first birthday party. His little cake.
That was me. That's the one on the left was my grandpa's cobbler. He was a cobbler. That was his shoe shop.
That's the porch.
In downtown Wiggins. That's the porch on it. The one on the right is an old house that I was raised in as a small kid. You could actually see through the floor and the thing.
And that's your daddy.
That's my daddy sitting there. He was
he's wearing overalls just like you do.
Yeah.
Well, Danny hadn't worn them in a little while.
He was probably 30 years old at that point.
Probably about, yeah.
Yeah.
But look at them legs. He has a cute little baby leg.
I was chubby when I was little.
Nah, you wasn't chubby. You were
No,
slim.
Mama, I was kind of heavy set.
Okay, so we're gonna move on from baby years to now. Wasn't he quite cute?
That was at our second house. This was a Jim Walters home that my parents had built. The house note on it was $35 a month.
Somebody saying Danny in shorts.
Yeah, if y'all hear anything, the neighbors are shooting fireworks.
Yeah, we don't have guns going off.
But that's a house that my mom and dad built. It was a Jim Walters home. The first house note was $35, and they were freaking out, trying to figure out how they were going to pay a $35 house note. That's my sister Rita there with me.
And you were so cute in your little cowboy shirt.
Yeah, I was all into cowboys and Indians.
So, Gemini, thank you. Funds for the stock pond.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so we have some school pictures. I'm not sure which years is which, but it starts like, I think the top left is the first grade, and then on through, I'd say that biggest one is maybe junior high.
Probably, no, junior high had long hair.
Well, it was before you get to junior high, like 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere. Maybe.
The 8th grade is when I let my hair grow out, so this is probably the 7th grade.
Okay, so moving right along, number 3. Nope. We're on 4. Okay, so there's graduation. Okay, explain the car. That was after you married, right?
Yeah, I had just gotten married at that point. I lived in a 12 by 56 house trailer on an acre of land, and I had just purchased this gray Camaro. It had 20,000 miles on it. I got it for $3,200 from a guy at Southern, the college up here in Hattiesburg. He was getting rid of it so he could get him another car. It was a Camaro. Later, I had it painted a dark blue. I had mag rims put all the way around it. I had it hopped up, had a scoop put on the hood, and traction bars put under the rear end of it. And my wife told me, she said, "We have a family. We have a child. You've got to quit building race cars," because I used to drive race cars. I used to be a race car driver.
Have a family car.
And she said, "This is not a family car." And so I ended up I sold it to my brother, and I ended up buying a Monte Carlo after that point.
Did your family know the Dizzy Dean family?
Yes, we knew Dizzy Dean, yes. And then the bottom was just it was a Christmas. I don't remember exactly what Christmas
I was thinking that was your first product review.
No, that was Christmas, and I just don't remember where that was at.
Okay. Now we are into...
we're into the hunting season. Up the top, up there at the very top, I was an avid archery hunter. I was a shooter for 9 years with high-powered artillery and rifles. To shoot something at 800 or 1,000 yards was nothing for me, so I lost all interest in shooting deer. I killed so many deer with a rifle that I just lost interest in it. So I took up archery, and I killed 73. The last count I remember was 73 deer I killed with a bow. Was
the car a 305 or something, or 350?
The 350 was the Camaro was a 350.
Thank you, Heathstead. Happy birthday. I have a 71 Duster drag car, plum crazy purple, and I love it.
Yeah. But anyway, I killed, Wanda didn't show the rest of the deer at the other one. I don't know why you didn't show the rest of it.
Because it was hard to get it all.
Okay, the other one's got a big 8-point down there with me.
And then the last one you're doing
The last one, I'm actually doing sugarcane. We have a power mill there, and I'm running sugarcane through it, cooking sugarcane syrup that day.
Yeah. All right, let's go to, I think I have 1 or 2 more. You explain this one. Yeah. He's always had a sense of humor.
I've always had a sense of humor. I don't actually remember where I was at that point.
It's an older house.
It's an old house. I remember being there because we were. I think it might have been in Gatlinburg, like in the Ripley's Believe It or Not house or something like that.
That's possible.
And somebody said something to me because it was like the walls run even and the floors were crooked and stuff like that. And when they said something to me, I turned around and looked at them kind of cross-eyed because it was like you felt like you were cross-eyed.
His daughter loves this picture. I don't know where you were at there, but wasn't he so good looking and handsome?
That was my wife that passed away. That was at her house.
You were very handsome.
Yeah, that's back when I weighed 230 pounds at that time. I can't say anything else.
He was pretty heavy.
I was heaviest because I was involved in other things. Let's just say that.
And that's yesterday. He's sporting a row by row shirt.
Yep, I was out. Mr. Lance was doing some work for us, and I was out there actually waiting on him to do something. I don't remember exactly what it was.
And so we've got these shirts. We've got them on tonight. Yesterday he had on the row by row shirt.
Yeah, tonight I've got on
the Oakley.
The Oakley shirt. There we go. See it?
Turn.
Oh, wrong way. I'm dyslexic on this camera. There we
Oakley.
go. This is a Hoss Tool Oakley shirt. Greg and Travis, we got them from them. We have several shirts from them also.
Mine has Hoss Tools, but on the back, doesn't mine say all right, all right, all right?
Yeah, you gotta kneel down though.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta.
Oh,
you're going away from the camera. Okay. Okay, I'm dyslexic here. Okay. It says all right, all right, all right. Anyway.
That's what Travis says all the time.
Travis always says it. Every time he comes in, he's like, all right, all right, all right.
So we got our Hoss Tool shirts in. Danny got it. Well, actually,
I got the Hoss Tool hat on too. Yeah, I've been wearing it today.
So they've got their new merchandise in, and we've just been sporting it all week. So
yeah, we've been, they got all their new stuff in, so we said, you know what, we'll take some of it and we'll take it and try it out. And actually, the shirts really feel good. They're
soft.
They're soft. They don't get too hot. I mean, I actually really like them.
Yeah. So Hoss Tools. Y'all know we love our Hoss Tools, so
yeah,
check them out. All right, so I think I'm kind of, I don't remember what the last one was.
What is that last one? I see that.
Oh, this is the other shirt.
This is some of the other shirts that we had on. The radish and just a regular Hoss Tool shirt. Now, the back one I've got on, the blue one I got on says something on the back like something to do with gardening. I remember that.
Yeah, something. Oh, grow your own. Hashtag grow your own food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought we would just wish Danny a happy birthday before y'all got to ask him too many questions.
Yeah, it's
actually tomorrow's our anniversary.
Tomorrow's our anniversary. July is a month for me that's kind of like a love-hate month.
Yeah.
I have a birthday this month. Wanda and I were married this month. And I lost a spouse in this month. And so
all within a week.
All within a week of each other.
Years apart, but
they were years apart, but within a week of one another. And so July is one of those months that I love to see come, but I'm glad to see when it's gone.
We didn't need I didn't put any more pictures of the pond or anything else up. He's working on the hay and the lime and dressing it up, and we'll do a
walk around.
Well, I've got the pier. We built the pier, and I didn't do a play-by-play of the pier, but I done quite a bit of the pier. So we'll probably put up a video of that sometime this week. And the second project.
The second project, I think y'all are going to find quite amazing. Now, it has already had its challenges. I will say that.
It is not what we expected.
It is not what we expected, but I think we're going to be well pleased with it. So it's ended up probably going to be more expensive than what we thought it would be, but nevertheless, it's going to be a super addition to Deep South Homestead.
I'm eating a brownie because
guys, we didn't get to eat before we came on here.
We ate supper like really fast.
Really fast,
so
yeah.
I'm finishing supper, my brownie.
Yeah. But yeah, and I just ran in, jumped in the shower, come straight in here. I didn't even have time to dry my hair, nothing. I said I almost didn't make it. You know, I was like, I was
trying to delay him too. So
and she was like, "Here, watch this video." I said, "Wanda, I've only got 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you know."
And I had to keep him out of here.
And she says, well, you got to watch this video so to make sure I didn't make a mistake or something. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, okay, let me get this done. And
it was to keep you from seeing the pictures.
Yeah.
Because he comes in here and he looks at all the pictures, so he knows what we're looking at. So he already has an idea of where the pictures are. And so I had to do that.
Yeah, a lot of people are wondering what the second project are. If you was on Patreon,
you can tell them. Patreon knows.
Patreon knows already, because Patreon, when you're a patron for us, you get a day-by-day thing of our life, and
we give a little bit of something.
We get a little bit of something most every day as to what we have going on here, and our patrons know most about what it is. But guys, what we've done is we moved to the front, and we wanted to have a small stock pond for the cows to be able to water in. Well, when Mr. Lance got to digging, he dug down like 10 foot, and he was still in the black mud like we had in the back, but then he ran into a bunch of trees.
Like we did in the back.
And like we did in the back, except a lot more of them and a lot larger trees. And they went down to like 20 feet deep in the ground where they had piled them up years ago. So we ended up digging all that out because you couldn't leave the trees where the dam was going to be or the dam would leak. And once he got them all dug out, he told me, he said, Mr. Danny, he said, what do you want to do? I said, my gosh.
We got a hole in the front
I had
yard.
a hole that was huge.
I thought we had a hole in the backyard.
No, it was way bigger than the one in the back.
I mean, it was deeper. It was not bigger.
It's not bigger, it's just deeper.
It's just deeper.
And I told him, I said, you know what, Lance? I said, just build a pond, man. Just build a pond.
Gave him free range right now with the front yard.
I said, you just do it. I'm trusting you. Just build me a pond. And guys, I got a pond that is deep.
I don't know how he's going to rearrange, because the way he ended up having to do it, there's really not a way the cows can just walk into the edge. It's not low anywhere. It's all steep. It's
all steep.
So we decided to rearrange, and we thought he could move to the front and just shovel us out a little pond.
Yeah, a little pond for the cows, you know.
But it didn't turn out that way. So now it's going to be kind of a little bit, not really much bigger than we thought. It's just going to be a little bit deeper on one end. The other end will be sloping in where the cows can just walk in and get water, but it's going to be deeper on the dam end side.
The end where the dam is will probably be close to 20 foot deep.
Unless he does something. I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know what. I mean, it's just a giant hole right now. But he's going to gradually taper it out all the way up to the upper part of our driveway up there, and it's already filling up with water. So
yeah, Danny was standing there when it went to gushing water, but he didn't have the camera.
I didn't have the camera. When he dug down, he just dug one deep, and all of a sudden water just went spraying up out of the ground. I was like, whoa! He goes, oh, we hit the stream, and so
yeah, so we
got water.
Our deal is we're going to have a lake. We've already named it, but we're not going to tell y'all tonight what we've named it. We're going to wait till we can reveal it next week.
Yeah.
We've named the lake in the back. I didn't like pond, so we decided to go with lake. And then we're going to have a pond in the front, which is going to be...
We'll have a pond, but it'll be a deep pond.
It's going to be a cow pond.
It'd be a cow pond.
I don't know. That's probably what it's going to be called.
This
cow pond.
Yeah, but this is the way it's going to go down. We're going to have the pond in the back here where the pier is will be strictly bass and brim. And then the deep pond in the front will be strictly catfish and brim. So we're going to try to keep the two separate.
Yeah.
There'll be no pier in the front pond. That's
No.
strictly for the cows. But the back pond does have a pier.
Yeah. And Danny's already been checking out fish, deciding what he's wanting. We can't put them in for a while, but we've got to let the water come up.
Yeah.
And so one of the one of the ladies that's been with us a long time gave us the idea, and we kind of thought about it, but it didn't really click till a couple of nights ago sitting on the pier.
Yeah.
And we decided that's it. That's what we want.
Yeah. Thanks guys for the happy anniversary. Thanks for the happy birthdays. I really appreciate that.
And all the names they sent. Lots of people sent all kinds of names.
Yeah, we've had so many names sent to us. We probably had 100 at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then another thing, we got the ponds now. If we come up with some kind of solar pump system, our gardens are right next to the ponds, and the greenhouses is right next to the ponds, so we will be able to pump water from them. Once they get full of fish, then we can pump fish fertilized water up into the greenhouse, and I think that might be good.
Now, Tammy's saying she thought you were against a pond because of chemical runoff from a neighbor's farm up the creek. What changed her mind?
They pretty much got their deal under control.
It's not. He don't really have a farm.
It's not really a farm. He has a few cows,
and it was mainly he was spraying one area for.
He was trying to get rid of Kogon grass, and now he's got real pretty grass growing in his fields, and
it's beautiful.
There's not hardly any Kogon anywhere, and he might spot spray every now and then, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not enough to. Now that he has everything under control, we shouldn't have a runoff. In fact, the good thing about it is we got a lot of his seed that washed.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of his Argentina Bahia grass seed washed down in here.
He said, "Y'all were welcome to my Argentina Bahia."
Yeah, my $280 a bag seeds. He said, yeah, I hope y'all enjoy them.
Yeah, because he is up the hill, some of it washed down, and we do have a few of those seeds in our pasture now.
Yeah, Mr. Tom's on here tonight. Mr. Tom, it is good to see you, my friend. Haven't seen you in a while. Don't get piranhas.
No.
Yeah, they're kind of ornery. Yeah.
Well, we've been debating on whether we want to go stick our feet in. We have not got wet in this pond yet.
Not yet. I mean, I've slipped down in the edge of it and got my feet wet, but we want to check the water temperature.
And we're going to see how much it's rising. He's got a stick in there to see how...
I put a piece of PVC stick in there, and I marked on it the inches up, and I put a 0 for where it's at when I put it in there. And we're going to check it tomorrow to see if it has rose any.
Yeah. And so Deep South's taking a crazy turn. But we've had this in the planning. When we were talking about contentment and life, that's what I titled this, was Contented Life or something. Danny and I started out having lots of issues when we were married. Right before we were married, before we met, in other words. I came out of a marriage that was very abusive, and I had a lot of issues, a lot of trust issues. I mean, a lot of issues. He had lost a spouse. When we met, we both had a lot to deal with. And so we had no money.
Yeah, we started off, I had just come through 6 years of cancer with a spouse, and even though before I was fairly well off as far as finances was concerned, I had to shut my company down, and cancer basically bankrupted me taking care of her. I spent every dime taking care of her. Canceled all my insurance policies because I couldn't keep them up and take care of her at the same time. And then, after 6 years, she finally passed away and left me completely broke. And then my health deteriorated. My heart messed up on me about 4 months after that. And from that point, it was just a big struggle for me. I couldn't go back to work nowhere. I couldn't open my companies back up because of my heart issues.
And
then my parents
later
had problems.
Yeah.
My dad was falling. My mom had a stroke, and they needed help, so I moved out to help them, and they lived like a mile from the hospital. And the doctors had told me at that point it would be good if I could be closer to a hospital rather than being way out here in the country with the heart issue I was having. So I agreed to just move out there and take care of them and be closer to the hospital. And I did that for about 2 years. And during that time, Wanda and I met.
We actually met online because somebody's asking that. Where did we meet? I had been by myself. I wasn't divorced, but I was by myself for almost 5 years and living on my own. And I was trying to get a divorce, been trying for a year or so, and I finally had to sue for one. And I was in the process of doing that. And during that time, I did not date until the last year. And I dated sporadically because I didn't trust anybody that much. And a friend of mine told me I needed to get out of the area I lived in, that I didn't need to date people in the area.
Right.
And I said, well, how do I meet people? Because I don't go anywhere. And she said, well, try Christian Mingle. Well, what she didn't know, the week before I had went on, what's the other one? There's a Match.com. I'd went on Match the week before, just playing around with it because somebody at work had said something about those places. So I had looked on Match. I got off of Match.com and went over to Christian Mingle. And I thought, oh, these guys have got to be Christian people. They're over here on Christian Mingle. So I started communicating with one or two. And when you're over there, don't trust anybody, basically.
No.
They were really not Christian people. I mean, I put on my site that I was wanting somebody that was in church. And so one guy, I said, so you go to church? He said, yes, I do. We talked a while. I said, so where do you go to church? And, when have you been in church or whatever? When's the last time you were in church? And he says, oh, well, I went to church with my daughter a year and a half ago for a program. That's what he considered going to church. And so from that point on, I was a little leery. I'd only been on there 2 weeks, and I decided to get off. I'm like, I don't trust these guys. They're no better than anything else. And so I decided to get off. There was Danny and I, the first week, he had seen my picture, and he sent me a message, and I answered it. And when I did, he sent back, I live with my mom and dad, and I help take care of my disabled brother.
You're right. I did say that, yes.
So I never answered him again. I got off, and then when I was getting off, I sent messages to a couple of guys and said, and he was one of them, because I just liked his profile picture. And I said, look, I'm getting off. If you want to call me, here's my number. I'm not doing this anymore. I got out. It was, 2 weeks, maybe three?
Probably, a little over 2 to 3 weeks, yeah.
My phone rings, and it's him. He calls me, and we start talking, and we talked that night, 6 or 8 hours?
A good 6 hours, yeah.
And then from that point on, we talked every night for 2 weeks. We did not meet.
We never met face to face for 2 weeks, but we talked every night.
Yeah. So
we pretty much knew everything about each other before we ever met one another.
Yeah, because I was not intending on marrying again. I just wanted to have a relationship with somebody I could sit down and eat a meal with and talk to, or I could call on the phone and talk about my day. That was all I wanted. And God knew my heart. He knew what I needed and what I'd asked for basically 25 years before. Where I was living, I was wanting a place that was like a food forest haven, because I was a homeschool mom. I wanted, we had gardens and things like that. I wanted a food forest. I wanted fruit trees everywhere. I wanted to be able to garden and do my thing, and it wasn't happening where I was at. It just didn't. It didn't manifest into that. We had 2 or 3 fruit trees and a small garden. That was it. And it took me 20-something years, but God has brought me to this point where I have a food forest. now. A beautiful food forest.
Yeah.
Now his story's a little different.
Yeah, my brother, you know, after losing my wife, I really didn't plan on ever marrying again. I said, well, I'm not going to get married. I'll probably just be single. And after my brother met his wife on Christian Mingle, and they got married, and she was a preacher's daughter. She was a fantastic young lady, just as sweet as she could be. And my brother,
they're still married.
They're still married. I got a tickle in my throat. My brother told me, he said, Danny, why don't you go try out Christian Mingle? And I was like, man, I ain't going on them places. And he said, I'm telling you, I found my wife on there. He said, it can happen. I was like, oh man. I said, well, let me look, because I didn't know what it was like. So I went on there and I started checking things out. And it was kind of like, to me, running cows through a stockyard. You know, you look at this woman's face and you get an opportunity, you say yes, no, or maybe. You know?
Yeah. I remember that. It was.
Yeah, and you click whichever one you want, and it puts them into a folder for you.
And then you read their description and you see if what they're interested, what they say
they're interested in. Yeah.
And you put it in, you can click it like, okay, this one is a maybe because they're interested in the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, so I was sitting there at night. I'd go through 100 people in one night. And I was like, this is stupid. I said, this is like picking cows at a stockyard, you know? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to keep doing this. But I'd already paid for the month.
Yeah, that was me too. I paid for the month.
I was like, so I went over to one, and I said, well, wait, let me check out another one. I'd already paid for this one. I said, let me check out another one. The other one was called farmers.com.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, well, I like farm girls, you know? So oh boy, I went over to farmers.com and joined that, and I ran into a lot of girls local where I lived at. I said, I'm not marrying somebody from way off. I'm not even interested in marrying. I'm not dating anybody from way off. I said, plus I'm almost 50-something years old. I'm in my mid-50s.
He couldn't drive.
And at that point, I couldn't drive because my heart had messed up. The doctor took my keys away from me, told me no more driving. I was blacking out while I was driving because my heart would quit. And so I didn't drive.
He limited his driving to running out here from his mom's to here, or taking his mom to the store.
I would take my mom to the store, take her to church, different things.
But he wouldn't drive off anymore.
I wouldn't go off into like 40 or 50 miles away or anything like that. And so I found Wanda online, and I looked at her, and I was like, oh, that's a maybe. Yeah.
But he didn't like, okay, let me just, y'all, I had no hair.
She didn't have no hair.
Short.
Her hair was short like a guy's. I mean, it looked like she had no hair on her head whatsoever.
It was really short, and I had bangs, but my hair was short.
Yeah.
And Danny wanted long hair.
I'm a long hair guy, you know.
And my hair had been long most of my life, but I had cut it short 4 or 5 years earlier because it was going to work. I could get up, blow dry it, and head out the door. I don't like to do hair. Y'all see this. This is what I do. If it's long, it's in a ponytail. And when my kids were little, I would braid it. I had a long braid down the back all the time because I hated hair. If somebody's around and they're cooking or doing something and their hair's all here, I ain't eating it. I'm just saying. I don't like hair all in your face when you're cooking. And if you do it, that's your business. But I can't do it. And when I was breastfeeding my babies and stuff, I had to keep my hair back.
Yeah.
I don't like my hair all over everything. So I cut it short, but he didn't like short hair.
I didn't like short hair, so I was like, I don't know, she's a maybe, you know. And so I wasn't really jumping about it or nothing, you know, but then she sent me that message and she said, I'm getting off of Christian Mingle and I'm just going to get off.
Yeah.
And, well, I looked at that number for a long time. And I was like, well, should I or should I not? So the crazy thing is, I went to church with my mom. I took my mom to church. And while at church, when the service come to an end, I went down to the altar and I said, Lord, you know, if you want me to be by myself, then I'm okay with that. I am. I said, but if you want me to have a spouse, you're going to have to give her to me. You're going to have to bring her to me because I'm not going to her.
And the same day he went to the altar, well, I was at my church and I was at wit's end. Everything in my life seemed to be falling apart. I went to the altar and I said, Lord, I don't want to date anymore unless you send me the person you want me to have. I am tired of hunting somebody. I just want you to send me somebody. And it was probably almost 2 weeks when you called.
It was about 2 weeks later, I told her, I said, you know what, I'm going to just call her and just see, you know. So I called her and we began to talk.
Well, that day I was really, really, after going to the altar and saying, Lord, take this. The day he called, I had went out to a lake, which is really strange. It's halfway in between where he and I live. I was that much further the other way. He was this much further this way. And I went to a lake that was halfway in between us. In other words, I had went halfway.
Yeah, you were already halfway to me.
And he called.
I can't get that tickle out of my throat.
And we started talking, and I didn't know where Perkinston was. He told me I'm at Perkinston, but I had no clue where it was at because I am directionally illiterate, and I thought when he said Perkinston, it was up north somewhere. I had no clue.
She didn't even know where I lived at.
And so when we talked for 2 weeks, and we talked about everything, I asked him one day, I said, so, because the first time we started talking, I said, so do you want to meet? And he said, no, let's just talk a while.
Right, I did say that.
And after 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, are you going to come to Hattiesburg? And he said, well, I really don't drive off anymore. So that was the first week. The second week, I'm going, are you going to come up here and let's go out and eat? And he goes,
nope.
No, I'm not. And I said, really, you're just not going to come? He said, no, I'm not. And he didn't tell me what he told God. He didn't tell me that he said he was not going to go anywhere. And so on a Thursday night, I told him, I said, I've got school. I was going to college. I said, I've got school Friday. I said, I'm going to get up Saturday. I work at the college on Saturdays. I said, I've got to go to the college. I said, but I will be at your house if you'll give. He had never even given me the address. I said, but I'll be at your house after lunch on Saturday.
Right.
And he says, well, when you start to leave, I'll send you the address.
I did say that, yeah.
So when I was leaving the college, I packed up a bag, and I said, I'm coming out, because I wanted to know if he went to church.
Yeah, she didn't believe anything I told her. Of course, you got to understand.
I didn't trust people, okay?
She didn't trust anybody, and that's okay, you know.
I told him I was coming to town. I wanted to see him, and I wanted to go to church with him on Sunday morning. Y'all got to know. And so I came out. We went and got food
at the Mexican restaurant.
At the Mexican restaurant. Come back and ate on the back porch. And y'all, the next day when we got together, we went to church, and guess what? I was still thinking he don't know these people in his church. He's just telling me he goes to church. We walk in. The preacher's joshing with him. Every person in that church is joshing with him. The preacher even calls us from the pulpit and makes fun of us from the pulpit. And I'm sitting there embarrassed, but I'm like, okay, so these people know him and they know him really well. And so I realized he had been a major part of this church.
I ran several parts of that big church,
So from that point on, we still didn't meet again for almost 2 weeks.
Almost 2 more weeks. But we talked every night.
Yeah.
We talked every night.
I had to leave and go back to my town because I had a friend that just had major heart surgery. Yeah. And I was to sit with her that Sunday, so I could only stay long enough to go to church and head back to my town and spend with my friend. And so we talked for 2 more weeks. Then at the end of 2 weeks, I asked him, I said, are you coming to Hattiesburg? And he said, no. I said, okay, then I'm done. I said, I'm not coming back out there. I refuse to be the one that goes all the time. I said, I'm not doing it. I said, I believe in the guy coming to see the girl. The girl shouldn't be going seeing the guy. And he said, okay. And he was just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
And I guess God got a hold of his heart because he did come visit me. And
I did.
We went out to eat.
Yeah, I did drive all the way to
He was
you.
nervous as all get out.
Yeah, I didn't know how my health was going to hold up, but I did drive all the way there to meet her. Yeah.
And he got to meet my two best friends because they were with me when we stopped to pick him up. And then I dropped them off and we went out to eat. And we had a good time.
We had a good time.
And
yeah, but
there
you have to understand, together. I was very cautious because so many people, when you get hooked up with them, are only after what you have. And I owned a lot of stuff. And I never told Wanda the house that I lived in.
He said he had a house.
I just told her I have a house, and it was paid for. I never told her how much land I owned. I never told her anything about me other than that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just basic things.
And somebody was asking about the kids. My girls knew that I was talking to him. I talked to my girls every day, both of them. At that point, they knew a lot of, probably about as much about me as I knew about myself.
This is irritating.
And they knew that I was talking to somebody. And once we started talking, my girls started calling and talking to him.
Yeah. I talked to her daughters, yeah.
Yeah. And so they knew who he was. They got to learn him.
My daughter just jumped in here. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was funny, he didn't know that I contacted his daughter. So
yeah, that was kind of funny.
Jennifer and I had planned it. I think it was the second time I came out here.
Yeah.
We had planned, I had been messaging back and forth with Jennifer, and we tried to pull a prank on him that night.
They tried.
I came out here and she called right as I got here, and we tried to pull a prank, and he just put the phone on speaker and started talking to her, and he looked at me, and I was about to crack up because I couldn't hold a smile. I couldn't not do anything. And he goes, he caught on right quick, and he said, yeah, you know.
Yeah, well, when I was talking to Jennifer, you have to understand, I used to do profiles on people, and I noticed my daughter, which is on here tonight, she was using different words in her common language, which is anyone who does profiles, that is a big flag for you. You know that person is not telling you the truth. And being as I raised her, I knew her language. I knew the type words that she would use, and she began to use these words that just wasn't in her normal speech. And I knew something was up, so I just put this phone on speakerphone and played along with it, you know.
And he looked at me, and even though he'd only just met me a couple of times, he could see it in my face. He knew I was not being totally honest either. And so we couldn't pull nothing on him. Yeah. I mean, it was hard. We were trying, but what started it was right after I met him, the next week was Easter.
It was Easter.
And I was at my mom's house, or my sister's house, for Easter, and he was telling me that he had already told me his brother had married somebody from Hattiesburg, where I was from, and he said she works at this clinic. And when he mentioned the clinic, I said, hey, my brother works at that clinic. And so when I went there for Easter, I was talking to my brother, and I mentioned the lady he told me about, and he goes, oh, yeah, I know her. So there was a connection there. My brother and his brother's wife work together.
I mean, what's the odds? You know?
Yeah. So that's how I got to know Jennifer, is through my brother connected me with his sister-in-law, and then through Jennifer, I believe, or something. That's how I found out about his daughter, which he had told me he had daughters.
Yeah, I'd already showed her pictures.
You know, I knew what they looked like and things like that.
But you have to understand, I mean, I was married to the lady that passed away, and we had a great relationship. We had a great marriage, and the Lord just seemed fit to take her home. And even to this day, my dad still cannot, you know, he couldn't understand. He couldn't understand how I could marry Wanda. after being married.
Even though he liked me.
I mean, he loved Wanda. I mean, he loved Wanda to death. But he said, when my mom passed away, my dad said, son, I could never remarry. He said, because I loved your mom, you know. And I said, well, Dad, I loved my wife also. I said, but that doesn't mean, I said, she's not here anymore. She's gone. And I'm left here by myself. And, you know, I have to continue on. And God is going to find someone to fill that void for me. And he used Wanda to do it. And he said, well, I loved your mom. I just couldn't do that. She was the love of my life. I've known her ever since we were kids. And I said, Dad, that's great. That's really great.
But they were married 60 years.
But they were married 50-something years.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, but Dad, you have to understand, life goes on. You know, she's not coming back. And he said, I can't help it. I just can't help it, son. And I don't know how you could do it. I said, well, Dad, the way I love Wanda is nothing like the way I loved Debbie.
Yeah, it's two different
I said,
things.
it's two different kinds of love. I said, I can't love her like I love Debbie, because if I did, it would be unfair to her. And I can't do that. So Wanda and I have a very unique relationship. It's a very wonderful relationship.
Well, one thing he told me when we first started dating, he said, I do not want a best friend.
Right. I said, I'm not marrying my best friend.
He said, I want a wife.
I want a wife.
I don't want my best friend. But it's almost like we're an extension of each other for the most part.
Yeah.
A lot of people say they think we've been married for 20, 30 years because we think alike. We can finish each other's sentences. We know what we're saying before we even say it. And we've only been married 7 years, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just different with us. We had a God connection. Is all I can tell you. It was God.
It was a God thing for us, because
together.
I was not going to remarry.
She
was not going to remarry. I had dead set in my mind. I said, God, if I ever do, you're going to bring her to me. I'm not going to her, because I've done this twice already. Divorced once, lost a spouse to death. I said, I'm not doing this again. If it is, you're going to bring her to me.
And when I said I was coming that Saturday, he couldn't believe it. He didn't want to believe it, because he kept telling God, they're going to have to come to me. He didn't tell me that until probably 2 or 3 weeks later. It wasn't even anytime soon. He didn't tell me that part of it till later. But when I told him I was coming, he actually did not believe I was really coming.
I didn't really believe she would show up until she showed up in the driveway. And what I never told her was, and she figured it out later.
He told me later, yeah.
What she never knew is I had a bucket list.
Yeah.
And she had to meet all the criteria of that bucket list, because I felt like God had given me a list of things that I should have if I was going to do this again. And every time she would do something, I'd say, oh, I can check that off the bucket list.
And he wouldn't tell me what it was that was on the bucket list, because we'd be talking and I wouldn't remember what was just said. We would just be talking and talking and talking, and he'd go, well, you just met another criteria on the bucket list. And I was like, okay, so what is this bucket list thing? But later he did tell me it was things like he had married 2 shorter ladies, and he had always wanted a tall lady.
Yeah.
And he said, you were tall. And that was one of them. I don't remember some of the others, but there was different things.
It was about 30 or 40 things, and I don't remember what all of them were.
One of them was I had to like farming.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't a farmer, don't get me wrong, but I loved herbs. I was into herbs and things like that. And so, I wanted fruit trees, and I wanted to garden.
Right.
It wasn't that I wanted to be a farmer. I don't like animals. And a lot of people say, how can you not like animals and live on a farm? I'm not an animal person. I like my chickens because they lay eggs. I talk to them like they're my girls sometimes. And he says, you need to talk to your chickens. And I said, I do. I go in and say, all right, girls, where's my eggs? You know?
Yeah.
I'm just different. Now, I'm not a lovey-dovey. I can go pet on my cows, but I'm not out in the fields playing with the cows. The goats were a little different.
The goats were a little different.
I played with the goats, the baby goats. We did do that. Tall and thin, Jennifer said.
Yeah, yeah. It was, you know, it is what it was. And Donna, I know, I don't know how you feel, but I know some of what you do feel. My wife actually died in my arms, and I'm sorry for your loss. Her husband passed away Sunday.
Oh.
And you know, so know that our condolences go to you too. But it's not the end of the world. It's one chapter of a person's life closes, another chapter begins.
And sometimes it takes a long time.
And it doesn't it doesn't mean that it's over with right then. Now, you have to understand, I was a counselor for several years, and and I realized that when a person passes away, there's about a 24-hour period after someone passes away that if you don't make certain decisions, it will be extremely hard for you to make them from that point forward. So when my wife passed away, within the first 24 hours, I had people come over, and especially a bunch of ladies and their husbands all came over. And I asked the ladies at that time, I said, will you go through the house, take every picture off the wall, put them away for me, go through all the clothes in the closet, pack them up, stack them up, rearrange, and the guys helped me resituate the bedroom, put stuff in different places in the bedroom. I completely redesigned the house within a 24-hour period and put away all her stuff within 24 hours and took all the pictures down. And because if I had not done that,
they would have still been
there when Wanda got here, because then it would have been hard for me, because I would have felt like that I was being unfair to her by taking her pictures down, that I was trying to forget her. And that's not the case at all. A person needs time to grieve. There's actually 7 stages of grief that you actually go through. And I needed that space and I needed that time to be able to grieve without having to be able to look at stuff that brought back too many memories, because the pain would only go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I needed to heal.
And even when we married, he was not healed.
No, 2 years later, I was still.
Yeah, probably the first almost 2 years, we talked about Debbie a lot because he needed to talk it out.
Yeah.
When we're talking to other people, I can tell you the stories of Debbie almost like I lived.
Yeah, she's almost like she lived here, because we talked about each other's stories so much. Yeah.
He understood my life and I understood his. So when we're talking to people and he's talking about Debbie, sometimes I will say something like I was there, and I don't mean to say it that way, but we've talked about it so much till that was what it was. And almost 2 years later, I looked at him one day and I said, okay, enough's enough.
Right.
It's time Debbie was put to rest, and it's me and you now.
Now, yeah.
Because I felt like she was a part of us for a while.
Right.
And he didn't mean it that way.
No, you don't ever mean it that way, but it's an extension of your life, and it's like you never have closure.
Yeah, he felt like he didn't have it because he needed to talk it out. And eventually it just he quit talking about it so much.
Yeah.
And now when we are in a conversation and he needs to talk about cancer, he needs to talk about his life.
Yeah.
He can talk about it without it just totally devastating him.
Right.
He healed by talking to me all the time. I think what really, and he's still hurt. I mean, because this is the anniversary of.
Well, this is the anniversary of her death.
In a week.
In a week. The pain never really goes away. You learn to live with it, and you don't ever forget it. I can tell you that. So I try my best not to dwell upon that, because the bottom line is she's not here. She's not coming back. She's with the Lord. And just like David in the Bible said, when he was talking about when his son was dying, and he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't do nothing but lay face down on the ground for like 7 days. And when his son finally passed away, he got up, he took a bath, cleaned up, got something to eat, and it scared everybody with David acting that way. And he said, he can no longer come to me, but one day I can go to him. And that's the way I look at it now. You know, and then when you look at what Christ says in the Bible about when the disciples said, Lord, this woman had been married 4 or 5 times in the Bible. He said, when she gets to heaven, who's going to be her husband? Which one of them? And the Lord basically looked at him and told him that, you know, when you get to heaven, there is no marriage. I mean, she will not have a husband when she gets in heaven. So we will see each other as we are. And that's the way I look at it now. One day, Wanda, as well as me, when we pass, we'll get to meet Debbie. She'll get to meet her face to face. We'll all we'll know one another, but it won't be like we're husbands and wives. I mean, it'll be just to be a wonderful relationship through Christ. And so that's kind of the way I have to look at it. I can't dwell on it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, and it doesn't lessen July.
It doesn't lessen anything. No.
Yeah. And July is just a tough month. Last year was worse than some years.
Yeah.
This year has not been as bad, but last year seemed like he had a really tough time.
Well, this year we decided to implement a lot of projects because
which keeps him busy.
When I have a lot of projects going, it keeps my mind busy. Now, I will say this, my body reacts, and I'll come in, I'll tell Wanda, I said, man, I feel so weird. I said, what is going on today? And she said, well, what happened on this day?
Yeah, because your body remembers. I mean, okay, say the date that Debbie passed away.
Yeah.
He may get up that morning and not think anything of it. And he may go outside and start working, and he'll come in and he goes, I almost passed out. He said, my heart's bothering me. I'm having issues. I said, okay, do you realize today is the day Debbie passed, which is coming up in about a week. But I'm using that as an example.
Right.
And he said, no, I hadn't thought about what day it is, because we made a pact when we got together that we wouldn't dwell on days. And so, like, what, about 2 weeks ago, he was having a lot of issues. 2 weeks ago. And he said, I just can't get past things. He said, for some reason, my heart's messing up every day. It was like 2 or 3 days in a row. And so I started thinking about it, and I said, okay, do you realize this is the week that you had to go to the hospital with Debbie? This is when you found out that she was not going to live.
Right.
And he goes, you're right. So once he realizes that's what's happening, he can deal with it.
Yeah, then I can process it, and I can deal with it, and I can move on with my life. Yeah.
So the body remembers, even though the mind it may not come to mind right quick.
Right.
The body remembers.
The body never forgets.
Yeah.
It just does those things on its own. You know, a lot of people don't know what's going on with them that day. Like me, I couldn't figure out. I was like, why am I having these problems today? And once she brought it to my attention, I was like, oh.
Because I learned how to recognize the signs. The first 2 years watching him dwell and deal with everything and remember things, that's when we made the pact in the first 2 years that dates were, we don't get up and say, okay, today's March 21st and what happened today.
Right. We don't,
you know.
Wanda and I don't do birthdays hardly. We don't remember anniversaries of different things that happens in our lives. We try
kind of know it, but it's
we know
not
it, but we don't make a big deal out of it. You know, it's like my birthday's coming up in a week.
And he hadn't even thought about it.
I hadn't even thought about it because it means absolutely nothing to me anymore. I don't think about my birthday anymore. I tell people, do not buy me nothing for my birthday. You know, it's just another day as far as I'm concerned. It's another day. If I live to get there, I'm happy. I'll wake up that morning and I'll go on and do the things that I normally do. And I'll thank God that he's given me another year and another day. And it doesn't seem, I don't look at it as a special day. I mean,
and the anniversary, we try to do something each year for our anniversary, but we don't go off and do a whole bunch.
No.
The pond was something we needed.
Yeah.
And we still feel like we need that for relaxation and for the animals and for the gardens. And it was something that we planned on doing 7 years ago.
Yeah.
We were originally supposed to put the pond in and get married on
a pier. That's what we had planned on doing.
And he hurt his neck. He couldn't work. And we needed the money to live. We couldn't spend that money on a pier. We had to pay the power bill and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we got married. Basically, he looked at me. He said, "Do you want to get married?" And I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Okay." He picked the phone up, called a preacher. He said, "Can we come to your office?" We took off down there, stopped by the way at Walmart to get a ring because I told him we had to have a ring.
She said, "We've got to have a ring." I said, "Well, let's go to Walmart."
Went straight by Walmart. This was like at lunchtime one day.
Yeah,
we were just, I had been at college and I come through and he says, "Do you want to get married?" We took off to the preacher, got married, come back, sat on the couch, and he goes, "Whew, did we really do that?"
I said, "Did we just do that?" She said, "Yeah, we did."
It was just kind of funny. But we had nobody but the preacher and us.
And we had I guess you call it a Hebrew wedding.
Yeah, Danny was wanting to do that, and I didn't know a lot about it.
She didn't know what a Hebrew wedding was, and neither did our pastor. So I walked him through everything while we did the ceremony. And we're still just as married as we ever were.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's been good. God's led us through the whole thing. The first 3 years was really tough. We had no money, nothing. We tried several things. He had odd jobs that he could do.
Yeah, I mean, I laid tile in someone's house. I wired the house. I mean,
cabinets.
I done cabinets for people, stuff like that. We
built the dome.
Hung sheetrock in a house. Me and her put down flooring in the house.
Yeah, we just could not work 40-hour weeks.
Right.
The people that we worked for would let us come and go and do small projects for the most part, and it kept us in money. Yeah. We weren't rich by no means, but it paid the bills.
It paid the bills, yeah.
And then we decided to do YouTube to pay the telephone bill because it kept getting higher and higher and higher. And we started YouTube to help people learn how to garden and to pay the power bill. I mean, the water phone bill.
Yeah.
So that's how we got started.
And here we are today. You know. Good or bad, this is where we're at.
Yes. So we've not answered any gardening questions, but we do that every week, so we're sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys, if we went off on a tangent there, but it is our anniversary, and we was.
And we've had a lot of people ask these questions, so it was just easier for us to talk it through. And we do have a couple of videos where we talk about it here and there. And Empty Hammock did a video called Grounded Series with Danny and Wanda.
Yeah.
And if you've never seen it, you need to go watch the Grounded Series with Danny and Wanda. It's one of those almost tear-jerker moments.
Yeah, it's a Grounded Series over on Empty Hammock. You can go over there and watch it. It's a video about mine and Wanda's life. And
Barry's a great videographer.
He's a really good videographer. He is. It's not even on our channel. I think it's in our description, maybe, but
it is. It's in a playlist.
It's in a playlist.
On Danny and Wanda.
Yeah.
But it's actually on Empty Hammock's channel.
Yeah, it's on his channel. It's not on ours.
Yes, and it is very, very.
So if you want to see an in-depth look at mine and Wanda's life, you got to go over to the Grounded Series on Empty Hammock and actually watch it.
Yeah. We thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of fun throughout the 5 years that we've been on YouTube.
We've had a blast.
We've had, we've been.
As a matter of fact, I don't think we've missed but just a few Saturday nights since we started doing YouTube that we haven't been live.
Well, we weren't live the first year.
Right, but I mean once we started.
Yeah, we probably missed maybe 6 or 8. For whatever reason. We've always done a Saturday night live since we started doing lives. We've always had 8 o'clock at night. It's always been our time.
Yeah.
We were part of the Homestead network as how we got started doing lives. And then that disbanded because it wasn't really beneficial for a lot of them. And we've been part of, I don't know how many YouTube channels we've had here.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, one day we had 65 people here at one time.
We had 65 here at one point.
But we've had a lot of people visit from YouTube. A lot of people have become very good friends.
Yes, we're going to stock the ponds. One will have brim and bass. The other one will have catfish and brim.
And carp.
And both of them have carp in them, just in case.
Somebody did ask that earlier.
Yeah, just in case any kind of weeds get started in them or something.
Yeah.
But guys, that's basically our life in a nutshell, how we met. So many people have asked this question. We felt like tonight would be a great time to tell y'all. For ones that hadn't seen the Grounded series by Empty Hammock, then
yeah.
And plus, even on I have a video of me sitting on the porch that actually talks about our lives.
Plus,
too.
we talk about this story in a Danny and Wanda chat.
Danny and Wanda chat one time. We also did a financial series.
Yeah, that kind of goes a little more in depth.
Goes a little more in depth with that. So yeah, we actually have a lot of videos up talking about our life.
And so it's really hard because I'm not a good organizer, put it that way. And our channel may seem a little disorganized to some people, but we have 3,000 videos up, guys.
Yeah.
And I try to put videos like that in a playlist, and those are called Danny and Wanda's Story or something like that. I think that's the playlist. And so one of the things is the 30 unusual facts about us or something like that. Things that you wouldn't really hear us talk about because it's not a part of our lives, but it's something that we were asked to do a collaboration, and we've been in a lot of collaborations, and you know, we're part of the Sunflower Showdown, which is, we put up something today on that. So
Midwest Mini Homestead, I would try a couple of plants. I wouldn't plant all my seeds because you're going to be really pushing the limit with the Cherokee tans because it takes a while for them to get up and get going.
Yeah. All right. So,
okay. Danny, when you said you wanted, where'd it go? When you said you wanted a wife, not a friend, what did you mean by that? Lisa, I'm not marrying my best friend.
Well, because the way he looked at it, most people become best friends and then they get married.
Right.
And he says, I don't want a best friend. He had many guy friends.
Debbie was a best friend to me.
Yeah.
And I wanted a different relationship with Wanda. I didn't want a best friend anymore. I wanted a spouse. I wanted someone I could have a different type of love with than I had with my previous wife that passed away. She and I had a particular type of marriage. We both worked together in a particular line of work. Let me put it that way. And
she was more the housekeeper type, you know.
She was a very feminine house.
Done her nails, done her hair.
Yeah.
She wore makeup. She dressed really nice. Not to say I don't, but I'm just me. I wear a t-shirt and shorts.
Well, it's kind of like this. When I got ready to go to town, I'd say, Deb, we're ready to go to town. Well, 25, 30 minutes later,
she's still not ready.
She's still not ready. You know, and I told Wanda when we got married, I said, look, I don't. He
asked me. He said, well, he didn't say anything about that to start with.
Not to start with.
He asked me when we were getting ready to go to town. He says, I think we need to run to town and get something. I says, all right. And he turned around and I had my purse on my shoulder and I was headed out the door. And he says, "You're ready to go to town?"
I said, "You're ready to go?" I was expecting 25 or 30 more minutes, you know. And
yeah, I'm ready to go. I brushed my hair and I grabbed my purse and I was out the door.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do makeup and change clothes into something real that all matched and all that. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean,
I lived that life when I was in Hattiesburg. I got up every morning and done my hair and put on the matching clothes and all that stuff. Actually, when I first came out here, I would get up every morning and put on my Dockers and my nice shoes, and he'd look at me kind of funny. "You're going to pick blueberries in that?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
But I changed the way I dressed because all I had was dress clothes.
Yeah.
And so my dress clothes started going by the wayside, and once I learned that I could just chill, because he always told me I could be me.
I told her, I says, you be who you are.
I'd always been somebody else.
I don't want you to be someone else for me. Yeah. I want you to be who you are because I'm going to be who I am.
He let me heal from what I was in.
I let her heal from the kind of life she came out of. I come out of a relationship with a spouse that had passed away who she cut my hair once a week. She laid all my clothes out for me. She chose what I was going to wear whenever I went anywhere. I mean, she dressed me. She did everything. And I've become dependent upon that. She cooked for me 100% of the time. And I was like, when she passed away, I was like a fish out of the water.
He didn't know. I mean, he knew how to cook.
I knew how to cook.
And he knew how to do laundry, and he knew how to do this stuff.
I knew how to do it all.
He had not had to do it for 10 years.
For 10 years, I had not had to do it.
Well, off and on while she had cancer.
Well, true.
But he learned through the cancer to do it himself.
Yeah.
But when she was not sick, he was very dependent on Debbie.
Right.
When we got together, I'm not that type person. And I told him to start with, I didn't mean I didn't know how to cook. I said, I don't cook. In one of our first conversations, I said, I don't cook. I lived in an apartment by myself. There was no need for me to cook.
No.
I raised 5 kids, guys. I know how to cook. But he took it. I did not know how to cook.
I took it that she didn't know how to cook, so I cooked every day.
So the first probably 6 months.
Or probably 6 months. You're right. Almost a half a year.
Months.
Yeah, I cooked everything.
He cooked every meal. I'd help him wash dishes. We washed dishes together. But he thought I did not like the kitchen, so he cooked.
Yeah.
And so one day he's fixing supper, and I said, you want me to help with the salad or something? He says, you don't mind? I said, no. And we had talked about everything. But I just thought he liked cooking, so I didn't ask him.
No.
And he thought I didn't like cooking, so he didn't ask me. And so we were sitting there, and over the next week, I would help him with things, and I would grab something and start helping because I felt guilty. My girls would laugh. They'd say, Danny, you're spoiling Mama.
Yeah, I did. They kept saying, you're spoiling my mama.
And he didn't get what they were saying because he wasn't thinking, and I wasn't thinking. And I was loving it, y'all. I was loving every minute of it because he cooked every meal. And then one day I started doing a little more and a little more. And he says, wait. He said, you know how to cook? And I said, well, yeah, I've raised 5 kids. I know how to cook. He said, but you told me you don't cook.
Right.
And I said, when did I tell you I don't cook? And he said, when we first started talking. And I started laughing. And I said, oh, I just meant I don't cook because I'm by myself.
Yeah.
So next thing I know, he's out the door. And he still cooks breakfast every morning.
I cook breakfast for her every morning. I have done since the day we got married. And I do it every day.
Yeah. But I cook most of that. Now, he cooks on the grill. Or if I'm cooking and I need to go do something and he walks in the house, he takes over the cooking. He's really good at that. So, but basically I do most of the cooking now.
Yeah.
He just helps out. But that's one of those funny stories because he really thought I didn't know how to cook.
Yeah. But it is what it is, you know. Oh, gosh. Anyway, we spent a whole night talking about us. I mean.
That's okay.
You know, it's just, maybe somebody tonight needed it. I don't know.
It's our anniversary.
It's our anniversary.
Tomorrow's our anniversary, 7 years. Didn't you say 7 years?
Yeah, 7 in the Bible is a number of, the first of 4 perfect numbers, but it's the number of completion. So, you know, we figure out that
in 7 years,
we've actually completed a lot of stuff that we actually set our hearts to do in the beginning. You know,
it just took us a while. And if you're starting a homestead, just know, or even if you've been on it a while, steady gets you where you're going. Don't overwhelm yourself. A little every day.
Yeah.
Plan small things. Say, I want a raised bed, and build a raised bed and learn how to grow 1 thing or 2 things in that raised bed and learn how to what it does. If you want to learn to can, pick 1 thing. Go study it, watch videos, can that 1 thing. Get good at it, move on to the next. You'll figure out that once you take that 1 step, the next step is easier.
Yeah.
And Danny and I took little steps all along, and people think we have created the biggest thing, and we have created it, but it wasn't because we just mass produce stuff in a hurry. We get up every morning, we work hard every day, we sleep at night and get up and do it again the next day.
Yeah, somebody's asking how old I am. I am 60 years old.
We'll be next week.
Next week I'll be 60 years old. I don't feel like I'm 60 years old, but
no, we were talking about that.
We were talking about that today. I still feel like I'm a teenager, but
but he doesn't get to act like a teenager.
I don't get to act like one. My body, I start doing something and my body does not let me. My mind tells me I can still do this, but my body says no, you can't. You know, and I'll grab bags of stuff up, and the first thing you know, I'm like, okay, we can put that back down. You know.
Yeah, he's been pushing it a lot with the pond because we've had a lot of physical things to do. We did a lot with the greenhouses, but we took it one day at a time. We didn't get in a gigantic hurry.
Right.
And we're to the point that we're ready to put the plastic on the second greenhouse. And but it's so hot, so we've got to wait till it kind of some of this heat passes before we put plastic on the greenhouse.
Anyway, Wanda, I let Wanda be who she is. You know, that's to me, that's very important in a relationship, is to not try to make the other person what you want them to be. You should have known that when you married them. You know, if you didn't, you married them before you knew who they were.
Yeah.
That's why Wanda and I talked for so much before we actually met face to face, is because on a phone, you will ask people things you won't ask them face to face. And once we got through, some of those things on the phone, then
he knew a lot about me that I wouldn't have said if I'd been sitting face to face, because I'm very, I guess, emotional, or I was. I'm not as emotional now as I was when we met. And he's not as emotional now as he was when we met. And we were both very vulnerable and very hurt, and very scared of saying things when we're face to face.
Yeah, you don't want to. I mean, when you're face to face with someone, you don't want to hurt their feelings. You know, because especially someone like me who can do facial profiles, I can look into a person's eyes and look at the lines on their face, the way their face moves, the way their body reacts, and I know if I've hurt them or not hurt them or anything like that. I can read responses real well, and a lot of times it changes your conversation.
Okay, so Midwest Mini Homestead said you sent an email last week. I would need to know if what name or whatever you sent it in, because over the past 2 weeks, emails, I look at them and I flag them, but I've not been back to answer anything. I've answered a few emails, but I've not caught up. So I can't tell you if I saw it or not, because I don't know what you're asking. But you would have to maybe even send me another one, or send me a second part to it or something, so I know what you're asking.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about, how they realize they've had to slow down.
Yeah. It is tough, and for me, I was not allowed to be who I was. I was having to be somebody that somebody expected me to be, and then I still did not live up to the expectations, even though they thought they were very controlling, just to put it that way. So I told Danny I don't do well with control, because I was by myself for 5 years, and I just did not want to be controlled. And when I came here, I was used to finances, handling money, dealing with everything. He looked at me, he says, "You don't have to do that anymore." I handed him the checkbook, and for probably 2 to 3 years, well, until we started YouTube. He handled the money. I spazzed every month that the bills wouldn't get paid, because I was used to doing all that. And it was very hard for me to turn that over to him to start with, but I had to do it for me to learn how to trust. And so he handled paying the bills, which we didn't have at 4 or 5.
Right.
And once we started YouTube, it all was back on me because everything was mine. We started it in my name to start with because he was trying to create me an income. And that's how YouTube got started.
Questions here. Christy, the Bible has a lot to say about divorce and remarriage. There's nothing wrong with remarrying after you've been divorced. As a matter of fact, God in the Bible divorced His own people in the Bible, and He actually gave Moses a bill of divorcement for His people. And whenever they did come to that point, God would rather see you remarry and live in harmony with someone than to live a promiscuous lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't have a problem with anyone who wants to remarry after a divorce. Now, there are reasons for getting divorces. Infidelity, you know, the Bible mentions that, things of that nature. A believer being married to an unbeliever, if they divorce from them, the Apostle Paul says you are no longer bound by that person. I mean, it can really, the Bible has a lot to say about it, but I don't have a problem with someone remarrying after they've been divorced.
Yeah, because that was a biggie for me too.
Yeah, Wanda had a lot of problems with that.
It was the religion. I mean,
it was a religious matter for Wanda.
Yeah, and it was tough.
Yeah.
And I had to think about it long. That's why I was by myself for 5 years. That's why I did not want to remarry, but I did not want to be the loose woman, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Okay, some other questions. Somebody said you had some brandywine tomatoes that's been splitting. That's usually one of two things. It's either you're watering irregularly, or it's been extremely dry, and then all of a sudden it rained a lot and they split. That's usually the two reasons for that. And there was several other questions went by. I can't remember what they were. But
so a lot of people are saying they married their best friend and stuff like that. And
there's nothing wrong with that. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with marrying your best friend.
Yeah.
But I had already married my best friend once, and
he didn't want that.
I didn't want that relationship again.
And I looked at him the other day, and I told him, I said, "You do realize you married your best friend?" And he said, "Don't say it. I don't want to hear it."
Wanda has become my best friend, but I didn't marry her as my best friend.
Yeah, it was a different thing when we married.
Yeah.
Right now we're almost inseparable.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that we're best friends. I think we're like two halves of a whole or something. I don't even know how to put it. You know.
Yeah. Well, let me put it to you. I'm gonna put it to you the best way that I know how. Wanda completes me. That is what makes me happy. She completes me. She makes me a complete person.
And Danny provided something that I'd never had before, which was safety, which was a feeling of accomplishment, because he didn't push me for anything as far as on any level. And he let me learn how to be who I was. He let me learn to do things on my own. Even the cooking. He took over the cooking when he thought I didn't cook. You know, he let me come to the realization, do I want to cook for this man? I mean, I was married to him, but I was like, you know.
Yeah.
It was just kind of weird. And when I had thought about, when we started YouTube, I didn't want to be on YouTube. I did not. I was the camera person.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to talk. I couldn't talk without crying. And he let me feel my way into it, gradually pulling me into those chats. He done 90% of the talking in the first, I don't know how many chats. And I gradually got to feeling I could talk on camera. And it was probably a year and a half later. I said, I kind of think I want my own channel. And he said, well, go for it. And I said, I don't know if I can do it. Actually, the first few videos I did for my channel, I was very nervous. I felt like I was going to cry the whole time. And it took me a long time, but now I finally have gotten a feel for it that I can talk to y'all and not feel ashamed, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Someone asked a question, do y'all ever fight? And if you do, about what? The answer to that is no, we do not fight.
No, but we have a discussion every now and
then. When we got married, I told her, I said, I've been through all different types. I've been through 2 different types of marriage.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, the rule number 1 is between no arguing and no fighting. Mm-hmm. We will agree to disagree. Now, I will listen to what you have to say, and I will honor what you have to say. But at the head of the house,
try to get, I think we may be back on, but so that's kind of our beginning story. That's how we handle things around here.
Yeah.
Danny and I like to reason things out. We don't like to, I mean, the first 3 to 4 years we spent every day together. If I was canning, he was canning. If he was outside taking care of animals, I was outside with him taking care of animals. Wherever he went, I went. Wherever I went, he went. That was the deal for at least 3 years.
Right.
He finally went over to a neighbor's one time by himself, and it was kind of odd that he wasn't here.
Yeah.
And from there, he learned to just kind of go take it one step at a time, because he had not drove in a while. Because once we married, I drove.
Yeah.
And so then it worked back into he finally would get in the truck again and drive, because he had not had spells in a while. And so he got to where he drove for a while, and for a couple of years he drove a good bit.
For a couple of years I did all the driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it got to where the spells were starting again.
Yeah, I started having more spells when I was driving. My heart would stop, and I'd almost pass out. And now
so I'm back to driving again.
Now Wanda does all the driving, so I don't do any driving anymore.
But now he will run over to a neighbor's. He drives a tractor and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do stuff like that, but I just don't go to town by myself. No, I don't do all that anymore.
Yeah, and the things we do might not disagree on would be like picking something out. And usually we found that we pick out the same thing.
Yeah, we pretty much.
It's really odd, because he'll be on one computer and I'll be on the other, and he'll say, look up so and so and see what you think and find what you want. And then when I look at it, I find it, and I go and I hand him a whole selection of stuff, and I said, okay, which one do you like? And he'll look at them a minute, and he'll pick one out, and it is exactly what I had just picked out.
Yeah.
So we're pretty in tune.
We're pretty in tune with each other, you know. I mean, and that's a good thing, you know. But guys, we've been on here an hour and a half, and
somebody said, do you dye your hair?
No,
neither one of us dye.
We do not dye our hair. No.
I've only put something on my hair back in the summer when I was young. I would put a thing on that would cause the sun to bleach it out some, and I did that a couple of summers. But other than that, I've never dyed my hair, and Danny's never dyed his.
I've never dyed my hair, my beard, or nothing. Somebody said their pumpkin plants are dying. Lots of tiny pumpkins. Any idea what it could be? You could have a vine borer. More than likely, that's what it is. It's called a squash vine borer. They bore into to the center of the pumpkin vine, and they will kill it. And then it could just be heat and drought. I mean, it could be that too. But more than likely, it's a vine borer.
Yeah.
Somebody asked what happened to my dog. My dog actually ran away.
Wanda let him out.
Well, he was barking and barking and barking for hours, and we were over at the cabin, and I told Wanda, I said, go let that dog out. He just wants over here.
Yeah.
And when she let him out, he came running and just jumped the fence and
kept going.
Kept going. Never come back.
I rode the roads, looked for him. Daddy says, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right. He's going to be back.
I said, he'll come back. He's been here for several years. He'll come back. But he never came back. So.
Yeah. So we're not getting a dog no more.
Nope.
I'm not doing the dog.
We're not doing the dog thing no more.
Once he left, I'm like, no. That upset me, and I was like, no.
Somebody asked the question, like, what kind of heart problems do I have? I have been diagnosed with 2 or 3 different things. I have hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. I have PVCs, SVTs. Um, my heart, I have what's called an athlete's heart, because I could run 20 miles. I used to didn't get tired. I used to never get tired. I didn't know what it was to be tired. And you know, now I've got a large heart, um, and as a result, it doesn't beat regular anymore. As a matter of fact, sometimes it stops completely, and when it does, I just pass out. And then other times, it begins to beat so fast that it go up to like 250 beats a minute, and it won't stop. And then all of a sudden, it goes back into rhythm. So I never know what it's going to do, and it happens to me at any ungiven moment. It doesn't matter. I don't have to. It usually does best when I'm out working hard and just pushing myself is when I usually feel the best.
Yeah, I mean, last week, just standing in the kitchen, he was just standing at the counter talking to me, and all of a sudden his face went blood red, and he just grabbed the counter and just stood there a minute, and then it all started coming back. But it was like, it split second just for a few minutes. But that was probably one of the worst I've seen.
That's one of my worst ones, yeah.
I mean, it took him a little bit, but he turned really almost red. And that's probably one of the first times I've seen him turn that red.
Yeah.
But that's what happens.
But anyway, I'm not worried about it. It is what it is, you know.
He doesn't have a pacemaker.
I don't have a pacemaker.
He takes no meds.
I take no meds. They've tried to give me meds. I've took them. It doesn't do any good. Doesn't change anything. So I'm not putting myself on something that does not absolutely benefit me at all.
And I take no meds.
Wanda takes no medicine. They checked me one time. They rushed me in the ambulance. They was going to take me to the hospital. And I told them, I said, I just got gas in my chest. If I could just burp, my heart would go back into rhythm. They go, no, sir, Mr. King, you're in atrial fibrillation. And about halfway to the hospital, I burped real loud, and my heart started beating normal.
But that was the longest it's ever been out like that. And it wouldn't go back. That was probably, 45 minutes to an hour it was out?
Yeah.
And usually it's only less than 5 minutes, usually less than a minute, but 5 minutes is the longest, except that.
Gardener Kate, yeah, if you're in zone 6, it's probably too late to plant sweet corn from seed. I mean, you might make it. Depends on how early the frost comes this year. I'm thinking this year we may get a frost a little bit earlier. Anyway, guys, we got to get off here. We have got a ton of stuff still to do tonight. So we're going to jump off of here right quick. I'm going to go ahead and say a quick prayer. We're going to get off of here. And me and Wanda have got to burn some midnight oil. You know?
Because I want to chill tomorrow.
Tomorrow is our anniversary. We want to make sure we get as much stuff done tonight as we can so that tomorrow we don't have all this work.
I canned figs today just so I wouldn't have them to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was pushing it to get stuff done. So, guys, we do have an anniversary video coming up. It's a short one tomorrow morning. We do hope to sit on the pier and do a talk. Yeah. Because we do want to announce the name to the lake. And we do want to announce another something from there. And so that might be shot tomorrow morning and maybe go up. It might go up tomorrow evening, but I won't guarantee it. It might be Monday. It's just according to what happens tomorrow. Because I do want to be able to chill, but we want to do this talk. So we're hoping.
Okay. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and say our prayers and get off of here. Father, thank you for the night. Thank you for being good to us. You've blessed us so much. And thank you for the great crowd tonight, Lord. Thank you for allowing us to be able to give part of our testimony tonight. I'm sure that being you laid that on our heart, there's someone here tonight that actually really needed it. Lord, I want to stop tonight. I want to specifically pray for Donna tonight. She lost her husband on Sunday. She mentioned it in here, Father. I want to pray that you grant her peace, Father, to be able to deal with this and help her to be able to be an overcomer and to be able to find true happiness again in her life, Lord. And Father, there is several other here who have said they've lost spouses, and Lord, a lot of them still grieve, a lot of them still hurt, and I pray for them tonight. I pray for everyone here who's had a loss in their life, whether it's a parent, a child, a spouse, or whatever it is, Father, I pray that you can place yourself in their stead and heal them, Father, so that they don't have that void in their life like they once had. And Father, I do pray that you go with us tonight. Help us to rest comfortable tonight. Tomorrow's a big day for us. It's our anniversary, and I do pray that we can enjoy it. Father, I've seen other people on here who said their anniversaries are the next day or two. They have birthdays in the next day or two. And I pray for everybody who's got a birthday coming up, Lord, that you'll be good to them and they'll be able to live many more birthdays, and that you'll just extend your hand of mercy toward each and every person here tonight. Lord, provide for everyone here tonight that's been in this chat. Bless them. Grant them the blessings of obedience, Lord, the fruits of the Spirit. Father, give them financial resources so that they can enjoy the desires of their hearts now. We ask these things in thy name. Amen.
And for those of you that would ask how we would spend a day, since we really don't celebrate days.
Right.
We get up, we feed our animals, we pick the figs like tomorrow, but I mean, whatever's got to be done has to be done.
Maybe picking butter peas.
Yeah, we've got butter peas that need picking. We've got things that have to be done. Just because it's our anniversary doesn't change our daily life at all.
No, our life still goes on.
We do everything that we usually do in a day.
Yes.
Sometime during the day we hope to grill. But
we hope so.
We do that about once a week anyway.
Yeah, we do.
But that's something that we choose a day and that's what we do. So it's not like it's a special day, but tomorrow will be a special day for us.
Yeah.
We'll live our lives here as normal. We don't go off and spend a lot of money anywhere. And that way we can afford to work on the cabin. We can afford to put up another greenhouse or build a pond, because we are not going on vacation and spending $2,000 or $3,000 every time we do, or $10,000. We chose to put our money into our place.
Yes.
And we have a little bit of heaven here on earth right now, and we intend to enjoy it.
Yep.
So that's what we're doing tomorrow.
That's what we're doing. So guys, have a blessed night, and we will see y'all in the next video.
This one or the other one?
That one.